Resuming the debate, reprise du débat, the honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, before I get into the meat of my response, I just want to thank the 19,605 people from Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, that voted to have me here today, to bring their voices here to Ottawa. I'm a proud Newfoundlander, and I am with an entangled heritage to the Rock. While there are many things to be proud of, the thing that makes me proud the most is that I am part of a community that truly cares for one another. A great example of this is when 8-year-old Adeline Skinner went missing in the woods, and the whole community banded together to make sure that she came home safe, and I'm proud to stand here today to say that she was found safe and sound. And this story doesn't just bring us together, it shows who we are. Because when something like this happens, politics don't matter, status don't matter. What matters is looking out for one another, no matter the cost. That's the spirit of a Newfoundlander, that's the spirit I was raised with, and that's the spirit I bring to this House. We know that success isn't measured by what we accumulate for ourselves, but how we show up for the people around us. That's why I've grown to hold the motto, success is helping other people succeed. So let me begin. Mr. Speaker, one day the sun will shine and have not will be no more. These were the famous words of our Premier Brian Peckford. Well, the sun did shine, Mr. Speaker. Under the last Conservative government, our province was thriving. For the first time in history, we had an economy that we could be proud of. But during this last Liberal decade, our province has been spiraling into poverty. Almost every aspect of our life has been in decay. Mr. Speaker, our hospitals are closing, and the ones that remain are having closed departments with no emergency services. Patients are having to drive over deplorable roads with life-threatening issues. And just to give you an idea of how deplorable these roads are, after my only 36-day campaign, I had to replace all the suspension in my pickup truck. That's how bad they are. And Mr. Speaker, the MHAs in my province would love nothing more to be here and announce more hospital funding and repave every inch of our roads. Unfortunately, our province is in dire financial situation and are running major deficits due to this Liberal government's failed economic policies. Mr. Speaker, my district of Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, touches 5 bays, and we have more small craft harbours than any other district in Canada. Whether off the Point May, St. Bride's in the south, or New West Valley, Bonavista, and Beta Verde in the north, fishing has and needs to continue to thrive in these regions. When I travel from wharf to wharf, there is no trouble to tell that these fishermen are at their wits' end with this Liberal government and their policies that are hurting their industry. But yet, the worst is yet to come. With this government planning to allocate 30% of our ocean as marine protected area by 2030 and 50% by 2050, these targets will once again be a major blow to their livelihood. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine the uproar if Ottawa decided to take 30% of farmland from farmers? Well, let me tell you this. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are not putting up with it. We will come here week after week after week and fight for our constituents and fight for our province. Despite having the most small craft harbours in Canada, the top employer in my district is construction. Places like Marystown and Greens Harbour and many more towns in our district have a long history of construction and boat building. On the Burin Peninsulas, they have built boats for World War II, ferries, and even the topsides of oil rigs. But under this Liberal government, they have not one, but 2 state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar shipyards sitting in idle. And this is not the only thing sitting in idle, Mr. Speaker. The Bull Arm fabrication site cost $500 million to construct in the 90s and is probably worth over billions of dollars today. It has built multiple oil rigs, including the Hibernia and the Hebron, which was the 5th largest in the world. And to give an idea of the magnitude and size of this facility, I wanted to inform everyone that they have the 2nd largest doors in the world, only second to NASA. Myself, my father, and my mother all worked on another oil rig construction site in Argentia. It was more than a job, it was a legacy. 3 members of the same family coming together to build something that would stand tall in the North Atlantic, something that we could be proud of. But just like so many other sites across Newfoundland and Labrador, this site too will be idle within a few months, now that this project is coming to completion. Another facility, another opportunity sitting idle. And what's even more frustrating is there's no plan to fill the void, just silence. Silence where there should be progress. We have an oil refinery as well, Mr. Speaker. It produces 135,000 barrels of oil a day. Oh, wait, it used to produce 135,000 barrels a day. That's the kind of capacity that built middle-class families and allowed young people to stay at home and work. Then this Liberal government invested $89 million taxpayer dollars not to improve it, not to modernize it, but to incentivize this company to reduce its throughput to 14,000 barrels of biodiesel. Think about that, a 90% reduction. This wasn't a market-driven decision. This was a politically manufactured one. Now we see the media publishing stories that the refinery is struggling and its future uncertain. In fact, just yesterday, they had layoffs. So I asked this government, what did you expect? They suppressed their whole business with regulations and industrial carbon tax, poured millions of dollars into shrinking its output, and now act all surprised that it's on the brink of collapse. And speaking of collapsing industries, Newfoundland's mining industry is hitting rock bottom. I've been in the pits, I've seen the blast, and I've stood shoulder to shoulder with the hardest working men and women in this country. Mining isn't just a job in Newfoundland, it's one of our economical foundations, but that foundation is crumbling. Within 6 months, we had 4 mines close on our island, one of which was in my riding. That's not a coincidence, Mr. Speaker, that's a crisis. These weren't exhausted sites, these weren't failed ventures. These were viable operations that had to close down rather than keep going down. Mr. Speaker, they closed down due to this government's embarrassing policies that are chasing investors away and eliminating our competitive edge. And let me be clear, the price of gold and minerals are a global price. We don't control it. What we control is how competitive we are as a country. But now, due to the artificial costs like carbon tax, industrial carbon tax, and the inefficient bureaucracy, it eliminates our competitive edge. The minerals are still in the ground, but the wrong leaders are still in government. Mr. Speaker, this throne speech talks a lot about giving Canadians a tax break, and that's great, but you can't tax someone if they're not working. And right now, we have the highest unemployment rate in the country at nearly 10%. 10%. That's not because our people don't want to work, Mr. Speaker. It's because there aren't any jobs. And that makes me frustrated, Mr. Speaker. And what frustrates me the most is we are sitting on a gold mine of idle facilities and untapped potential that this Liberal government keeps suppressing. We have the resources, we have the infrastructure, and we have the workers. But instead of building, this government is blocking. Instead of digging, they're diverting. So, Mr. Speaker, where shall my constituents find work? Because I can tell you, they won't find work here in Ottawa since most of them haven't learned French in our rural schools, and it's no fault of their own. It's a failure of the system, a system that forgets about rural Canada until it's election time, and now young people are being disqualified from federal opportunities because of it. And I don't think they'll have much work building a pipeline either. While this Prime Minister tells one side of the country is building pipelines, he tells the other side a different story. Now, perhaps they could get a visa and work in other parts of the world building pipelines where this Prime Minister has invested. But unfortunately, that's not here at home. And with these production and emissions caps, I don't think they'll have very much luck getting a job in the oil sands either. And I've got my doubts they will be working on this nationwide energy corridor because I don't think this Liberal government has the guts to do what it takes to put their energy corridor through Quebec into Labrador where it could build enough hydroelectricity to make the green energy superpower that we want it to be. The power's there and the people are ready. Mr. Speaker, let's not forget that the topic affecting every Canadian is the high cost of living due to inflation. This inflation doesn't magically appear out of nowhere. No, Mr. Speaker, this inflation is a direct result of reckless overspending and economic mismanagement. This inflation is because this Prime Minister, the very one who now leads us, was advising the former Prime Minister to waste tax dollars, having budgets and saying budgets would balance itself, and now not even having a budget at all. And not only do our single mothers struggling now, but we have double income parents who are struggling to provide for their kids. Food bank usage is up, and there's no sign of slowing down. I have gone to houses in my districts where seniors have the upstairs of their homes tarped off, and they're sleeping on the couch because they can't afford to heat their homes. We have seniors wandering shopping malls, trying to stay warm in the winter. And I have even heard where seniors are eating pet food because they cannot afford the skyrocketing grocery bills. Imagine that. After a lifetime of paying into the system, this is the dignity that we afford them. These seniors are the very people who voted for this government. They supported them. They voted for them to fight Donald Trump with tariffs and have a plan for Canada's economy, not drop the tariffs and have no budget. Furthermore, this throne speech completely turns its back on seniors and offers no help to survive the economic storm that these Liberals created. One day, the sun will shine and have not will be over.
I have to interrupt the honourable member. Questions and comments? The honourable member for King's Hants.
Congratulate the honourable member on his first and his maiden speech here in Parliament. And I welcome, of course, him to this place, particularly as an Atlantic Canadian. A few things I want to make sure that he knows as he enters this place in terms of the way in which this government has helped to support the good province of Newfoundland and Labrador, whether or not it was taking the approval time on offshore oil and gas permitting from 900 days under Stephen Harper down to 90 days, whether or not it was investing in rate mitigation in this province, $5.2 billion from this government to support his province, whether or not it's been crucial investments across. That was delivered by this Liberal government. But it's a little bit devoid as I sit here and listen in this House. The oil and gas question. According to the International Energy Agency, oil and gas production in this country has actually increased by 29% in this country over the last 10 years. How does this honourable member stand here in this place and suggest that oil and gas has not been benefited under this government in terms of that oil and production?
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable member can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was 1,282 days to get Beta Nord approved and for those talkings before that government finally drove them away. We've had 2 years in Newfoundland's offshore with no bids. I'm not sure what Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are expected to do, but we need work and we have the opportunity to create an economic superpower in Newfoundland. We just need to get out of our own way.
Hear, hear.
Question et commentaire, l'honorable député de La Pointe-à-L'Île.
The honourable member for La Pointe-à-L'Île. Thank you. I'd like to thank my colleague for his speech. He said that the Liberal government has abandoned seniors. I tend to agree. We, the Bloc, brought forward a bill because the Liberals increased seniors' pensions for only people over 75. They increased them by 10%, but only for those seniors. So we brought in a bill which did get support and made it through most of the steps to increase the pension for people between 65 and 74. So I'd like to know what my colleague thinks of that.
For Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
It is good to see any help going to seniors, but I think we definitely need to do more. They have built this country. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into building things and raising us, and we definitely need to support them more.
Hear, hear.
Comments, the honourable member for Tobeek, Mactaquac.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to my honourable colleague from Terra Nova, the Peninsulas. It's an absolute joy to welcome him to this House, and he's going to be a tremendous addition and complement to the People's House, no doubt about that. My question to the honourable member is this. We hear a lot of recent talk and happy talk from the other side of the House, the government, around oil and gas, but it's kind of coded, it's kind of shrouded, it's kind of maybe we're going to do it, possibly we're going to do it if it meets certain requirements, up to certain stipulations and passes certain loopholes, and after 17 subcommittees and para-committees and overarching committees look at it and examine it, we'll come back and reevaluate once again. My question simply is this. Is it time for a change so we finally get a government in place that we can actually get these projects off the ground and done?
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
I believe that a Conservative government will make the sun shine once again. And I believe that that will be through creating high-paying jobs that prioritize the livelihood of each Canadian, not just the long list of consultants that this Liberal government has on speed dial.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
Questions and comments? The honourable député de Thérèse de Plainville.
The honourable member for Thérèse de Plainville. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank our honourable colleague for his speech. Listening to him, it's clear that he's raised important matters around energy and our rural regions. Our PM has been very clear about our goal to make Canada a global superpower, both in conventional and clean energy, and he also wants us to reduce emissions. With that in mind, it's clear that yesterday's meeting in Saskatoon was a real success. Can we count on the Conservatives to support the results of working together to create one single voice instead of 13 in Canada.
Peninsulas.
Removing interprovincial trade barriers seems like a good idea that may have came from our side of the floor. Thank you.